Hello everyone, it's Miss Elizondo, and this is a video to help you update your science notebook for week 4. This is the 4th week of school. Can you believe that? So in week 4, and I will show you my science notebook. Okay, I'm going to use 4th period science work notebook, so it's okay. I open it up. Yes, it is my science notebook. It's my title page. This is week 1. I had science safety, all my vocabulary words, and what we did for science safety. This is week 2, matter. How do I measure matter with tools? And we learned about physical properties of matter. We had a science lab about properties of matter. Then we're on week 3 with changes in matter. That's what we did last week. We had 3 physical states of matter. What happens to an ice cube if we change the temperature? We had the science lab for last week, week 3, and now we're on week 4. Okay, this is week 4 science notebook update. So in week 4, we have vocabulary words. Okay, so what I did is I took a clean page, the next clean page, right after my science lab from last week on the ice cube. I turned the page. This is a clean page. What I did is I folded my page in half. I opened it up. Okay. I outlined my fold. I traced it with a red marker. I wrote mixing matter at the top. Okay. And then I skipped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Okay. So skip 5 lines and draw your horizontal line. Skip 5 lines, draw your horizontal line, and so on, all the way to the bottom of the page. Okay. And then according to my syllabus says, I need to have these vocabulary words in my notebook. Okay. So that's what I have. I have my vocabulary words in my notebook. Now, if you're live with me and you are watching this video, then your notebook will look like this. But if you're not watching this video and you're not in class with me, then it's going to look a little different. That's okay, as long as you stay on track. Okay, you're on week 4 and you have the vocabulary words and you have the definitions. So the first one is mixture. And I drew a bowl, and inside the bowl I had my favorite snacks. I have pretzels, I have M&Ms, and I have Boston baked beans. Okay, no, they're not frijoles. It's a candy covered peanut. Okay, if I mix them all up in a bowl, I have a mixture. If you don't like candy covered peanuts, you can easily just take them out. Okay, and it doesn't change color, it doesn't change shape just because you took it out of the bowl. Okay, so I have my definition. A mixture is 2 or more substances, like my Boston baked beans and my M&Ms and my pretzels, that are easily separated and they keep their physical properties. Okay, so just because I take out an M&M doesn't mean it changes color. The property of color still stays the same. The next one is solution. Solution, I drew a picture of a pitcher where I usually make Kool-Aid. Okay, so inside the pitcher, I put water, then I put the Kool-Aid, and then I put the sugar. If I have this mixture, yes, it's 2 or more things, so it is a mixture. So I put here is a mixture that cannot be easily separated. That means, can I use my hand to like push the red color aside and push the water aside? No, it's pretty hard to separate. Well, I don't want it. I don't want the sugar anymore. Well, how do you get rid of the sugar? Okay, it's really hard to separate sugar, Kool-Aid, and water. Okay, so we call it a solution because things dissolve in there. Okay, so that's the next vocabulary word, dissolve. Okay, I pointed to the picture of Kool-Aid because that's the same thing. Sugar dissolves, it breaks up into tiny pieces. Okay, how do I know it's there? It tastes sweet. Okay, and if I want to add more sugar because it doesn't taste that sweet, I can do that. But I can't see the sugar once it dissolves, it's still in there. Okay, Kool-Aid powder dissolves also, so I wrote Kool-Aid there. And then I thought of other things that dissolve, like salt, honey, food coloring. All those break up into tiny pieces and they dissolve in water. Okay. The next one is a sieve. A sieve is what your parents use when they make spaghetti. Okay, they want to separate the water from the spaghetti noodles. That is a sieve. I can take a mixture and I can separate them using a sieve. I can separate large things from small things. Okay, I also have this kind of sieve. Okay, the holes are a lot larger. Okay, the holes are a lot larger. Or I can have this kind of sieve where the holes are like medium size. Okay, but I can use this tool to separate mixtures. Okay, and the last word is filter. Now we can use a filter to separate mixtures. I have coffee filters here. Okay, that's a filter. I can put coffee grounds here, pour the water, and then I have coffee water. Okay, that's basically your coffee. Okay, so I drew a coffee filter and I wrote to separate small things from smaller things. That's like coffee grounds and water. Okay, the water is really, really small. Okay, it's so small it goes through the filter. But the coffee grounds are not that small. They're pretty small, but they're not that small that they stay on the filter. Okay, so those are the vocabulary words that you should have for this week. Okay, so I have mixing matter, mixture, solution, dissolve, sieve, and the last one, filter. Now I'm going to turn the page to a clean page. Okay. And then on my syllabus, it says you have to read pages 125 through 133. Be sure to do all those tasks on all those pages. Well, I do that with you live in class or through this video. Okay. I take the important information from those pages in your Fusion book and I create a foldable for you. Okay. So that you can keep things organized, keep your learning organized in your science notebook. Because remember, you can use your science notebook when you're taking a quiz. Okay, you just need to be resourceful and have everything there. So I'm on a clean page and I wrote separating mixtures methods. This is a fancy way to say different ways of doing things. Okay, and then I have my page like this. Okay, and I skipped 3 lines, 1, 2, 3, and then I drew a horizontal line just like I did for definitions or having my vocabulary, but I'm not doing vocabulary. I'm doing separating mixtures methods. Okay, so I skipped 3 lines, drew my horizontal line all the way down. Okay, and then with my green marker, I marked where I'm going to cut. Okay, so I marked it with green right here, and I marked with green right here, right there on half of the page. And then I got my scissors and I cut. Now, if I'm going real fast for you right now, you can easily just pause the video and cut on the green lines until you're finished. Then you can play the video. Okay, so use your pause button. So once I had it cut, I'm going to close the doors. So I should have one door. Okay, and I wrote the big capital S because this is a brain activity. I want to remember all the methods there are to separate mixtures. So my brain likes to make those connections on how to remember all of those methods. So this is a brain activity. I did the word some, okay? Because some in my brain is to remember the word sieve. Okay, the word sieve. I need to remember that word. I need to remember another word for sieve. It's strainer, and it starts with an S too. So the S is really large because it stands for some, sieve, strainer. Okay, but I wrote some in blue because that's what you're going to remember in your brain. Once you remember some, then you know, oh, S is for sieve. Okay, close the next door. I wrote the large capital M, and that's for monkeys. Some monkeys. Notice that they're in blue. Some monkeys. That means I have another method of separating a mixture. Okay, so I can use a magnet to separate a mixture. I can use a magnet to separate a mixture. Sand and iron filings. Okay. Then I use the other door and I wrote large capital H for the word have. Have is for hand. On Thursday during your experiment, you're going to use your hand to separate mixtures according to their physical properties. So I drew a hand there. Close the next door. It's a capital F for fun, funnel. Okay, so now that you see the words in blue, it's starting to form a sentence. Some monkeys have fun. Okay, some monkeys have fun. So every single letter has a different method of separating a mixture. So fun is for funnel. Now, yes, it's like making a funnel cake. Okay, it's like using a funnel when your mechanic is changing the oil in the car. Okay, so funnel is another method of separating mixtures. Close the next door, and that says flipping. So some monkeys have fun flipping. The second F is for filter. Okay, I can use a coffee filter to separate a mixture, like coffee and water. Close the next door is another F. And yes, that does say farting. Okay. And on purpose, I picked that because you're going to remember that some monkeys have fun flipping and farting. Okay. And farting stands for another method of separating a mixture. It's floaters and sinkers. Okay. Floaters and sinkers. And I can think of a swimming pool and I drew the water. If I throw some rocks in the swimming pool, they're going to sink. But if I throw a floaty, it's going to float. And I can use density to separate a mixture. Okay. And the last door, E, for everywhere. Okay. It's also for the last method, which is evaporation. So I have some monkeys have fun flipping and farting everywhere. And I have the 7 methods of separating mixtures. Okay. So now that I have the methods and in my brain, I have some monkeys have fun flipping and farting everywhere, I will ask you, yes, I want you to provide one way to separate a mixture. And you're going to think, oh, yeah, it's about the farting monkeys. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. M, monkeys, yeah. Magnet, miss. You can use a magnet to separate a mixture. That's right. Okay. So some monkeys have fun flipping and farting everywhere gives you 7 methods quickly. And that is a brain trick or a way for your brain to remember 7 ways to separate a mixture. Okay. So inside the door, I'm going to write an example of how I can use a sieve. Okay. I can use a sieve with sand and rocks. Sand and rocks. Okay. So, magnet. Inside the door, I'm going to write sand and iron filings. Okay. So, I'm going to show you an example of those things. That's the big mixture that I have here. Okay, so I have a big mixture here. I have sand, rocks, and iron filings. Sand, rocks, and iron filings. And I want to be able to separate that with a magnet. Okay, but I can use my hand here. Rock, 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 sand and iron filings. There I have it. I can separate the iron filings from the sand. Okay, there. I have the iron filings stuck onto the magnet. Okay, so if I can just pick up a little bit more to make sure I don't have any more iron filings, which is a metal that is magnetic, but they're really tiny, tiny pieces, but they're still magnetic. Okay, so I can put my rocks back and I can put the sand back. Okay, I'm just going to put the sand back in the jar. Oops. Okay. So I just showed you Sand, rocks, and iron filings. Okay. I even showed you what I did with my hand. I separated them with my hand. I can use sand, rocks, and iron filings, or I can do a trail mix. If I don't like raisins, I can just easily take them out with my hand. For a funnel, okay, I usually seed with oil in a car, okay, or I can do rocks and water. Okay. The next one is filter. And that's a coffee filter, so that's easy. That's coffee and water. Okay. That could be a good example. The next one, farting or floaters and sinkers, the density, that could be oil and water. Oil's going to float, water's going to sink. Oil and water don't mix. And then we have evaporation. I need heat, a lot of heat. So if I put salt and water in a pan on a hot plate, all the water is going to evaporate and the salt's going to stay behind. That's how I can use evaporation to separate this mixture. Okay, so inside you have the example. On the outside, you have the brain tip or the connection and all the tools that you need to separate a mixture. Okay. Then I'm going to go to page 131 in my Fusion book. 131 in my Fusion book. So I'm going to put here page 131 in Fusion, the big thick book with a crab on it. Okay, so here is page 131 of my Fusion book. I'm going to tear it out. Okay, I tore it out. And I need the information that's here. So I'm going to cut out that information that I need. Okay, it's about all the different methods used to separate a mixture. Okay, so here is my separating mixtures methods that I have on page 131. Okay, and I'm going to glue it. Where I wrote page 131 Fusion, that's where I'm going to glue my information. Okay, so I'm going to take my glue. If I'm using liquid glue, dot, 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 not a lot. Dot, 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 not a lot. You can barely see it. Okay, and now I have page 131 information right next to my separating mixtures method. So I have two things going on when I have my title. Okay, and then I have this left over. Okay, I have this left over. I need to cut out the title. So the title is When One Isn't Enough. When One Isn't Enough. So I'm going to cut out When One Isn't Enough. And I'm going to glue it on the left side of my journal. So here's my title, When One Isn't Enough. That means I can use another method for the same mixture. So I'm going to go to the left side of my journal and I'm going to glue the title up at the top. Dot, dot, not a lot. Okay. When one isn't enough. And I'm going to pick which picture I want to use. Do I want to use the picture with the magnet and the sieve or the one with the filter and the evaporation? You pick. Okay. What I'm going to pick is the one with the evaporation. Okay. Because only one fits in your page. So that's why I want you to pick one. So here it is. I'm going to pick the one with the filter and the evaporation. So I'm going to glue it. Dot, 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 dot. I'm going to glue it on the left side. Okay. And here you can tell that somebody already wrote down the different methods. Okay. Because I'm using a used book. But what I want you to do is I want you to label everything that you see. I see a filter. Okay. I see water. I see boiling on a hot plate. Okay. And I see two methods. I see the filter method and I see the evaporation method. So I'm going to write this is number one method and this is number two method. So I can use two methods for the same mixture. Okay. Now, if you chose the one with the magnet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to size up the one with a magnet. Okay. If you chose that one, you're going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to choose a different page. You don't have to. You only picked one. Okay. Just because I wanted it to fit in that page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the previous page right here where I put week 4. I'm going to take this off and I'll put it here so that you could see how I described this diagram if you picked this diagram. Okay, I have it in the center and I should have at the top when one isn't enough. That was the title that we cut out from the book. Okay, and let's say you chose this picture. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to describe it. This is a mixture. This is a sieve. Okay, right here they're separating. But then I use a magnet and then I have it separating again. So this is what we're doing. We are labeling what's happening in the picture. Okay, here's a mixture. I used a sieve to separate. Then I used a magnet to separate again from the magnetic to the non-magnetic. So this is magnetic and this is non-magnetic. Magnetic from non-magnetic. And then I'm going to label the different methods. Okay, so they're using a sieve. So this is method number 1. Okay, and then they're using a magnet. That is method number 2. Okay, so this is what you should have in your science notebook for week 4. Okay, week 4, I have my vocabulary words, separating mixtures methods, inside the door, an example of each from page 131. And then I should have a diagram that is labeled with the 2 different methods I can use at the same time. So I hope this helps you get caught up. Thank you.